In today's video, things you missed in Yu-Gi-Oh! The Battle City Arc, Part 2, and that's coming up. What's up there and welcome to a brand new video on 414 YGO. In today's video, things you missed in Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle City Arc, Part 2. And hey, if you're new here, why not join the 414 community by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out. So, moving on to part 2 in Battle City then, of course, this is going to feature every 12 to 14-year-old boy's first proper waifu crush, I imagine. This video is going to cover episode 60 all the way through to 69. Wink wink. But with that being said, I'm just going to get straight into it. Here's the things you missed. So in episode 60, this is where we see Yugi take on Arcana, that famous Arcana's Red Dark Magician, which is awesome. But particularly in the dub, there was actually so many cards in each duelist's hands that had changed the cards that was, next to impossible for them to have. For example, after summoning Legion the Fiend Jester, Arcana looks back to his hand, and the Winged Dragon of Ra can be seen behind his Dark Magician. The two things that make this strange is besides, one, Arcana not actually having the card, and even if he did have the card, it couldn't have even been in his hand, as his opening hand was shown, and the first card he drew would have been that Fiend Jester. Then second of all, after Yugi activates card destruction, Obelisk the Tormentor can now be seen in Arcana's hand, despite not being in his hands moments earlier. And of course, like we all know, Kaiba had Obelisk this time anyway. Once again, another moment that happened during Yugi playing card destruction, it's actually seen on his dual disc in a defense position instead of the Alpha the Magnet Warrior that he had at the time. Funny enough as well, even though Mystic Tomato's card art was changed to the US version, however the hologram was not changed to reflect this. Moving on to episode 61, this is a continuation of the duel between Arcana and Yami Yugi. Nothing really changed in this episode, so we'll move straight on to episode 62. Okay, so on to 62 then. From a close-up shot near the episode's beginning, the buzzsaw near Yami Yugi on its right side is closer to the number 1000. However, on the next view, from far away, it shows its left side touching the vertical line that means 500 life points. Then, the next close-up shows it was the first view again, so it keeps jumping back and forth, which is absolutely crazy. When Arcana plays Shadow Balance on the field, he calls it a monster, when, in fact, Shadow Balance, of course, is a trap. As well as this, when Gazelle, the king of mythical beasts, is summoned, it's shown with 3 claws on its front paws. However, just before Shadow Balance swallows Gazelle, it has 4 claws on its front paws, which is quite hard to say. Then back to 3 just moments before it's destroyed. So not only have we got the buzzsaw jumping around, we also have Gazelle growing an extra claw, which is really quite strange. Finally, as well, of course, episode 62 was the debut of everyone's favourite girl, the Dark Magician girl, Fap. And of course, like every other girl in this series, in the dub, she was dubbed down, I guess, is that the right word? So yeah, she was kind of made less sexy, I think you can say. As well as this, of course, she has that red jewel on her dress, I guess. In the Japanese OCG and the anime, it has a pentagram on it. However, they changed this to just a red jewel in the dub. The blue skirt is actually temporarily added to her costume at one point to conceal her high thigh, which I think is really sad. So, pro revealing Dark Magician girl for me. Smash the like button for more Dark Magician thigh, right? Moving on to episode 63, so this is where we see Joey take on Weevil Underwood. When Legoul appears on Weevil's field, the graphic for its attack and defense shows its defense incorrectly at 500. As well as this, right after Joey summons Panther Warrior, he has 4 cards in his hand. However, he did draw 2 cards prior to summoning Panther Warrior, so he should have had 5 cards in his hand. On to episode 64, once again a continuation of the duel between Joey and Weevil. The Parasite card can be seen several times on Weevil's side of the field on his dual disc, and the laptop readout in place of Reckless Parasite. And a bit of a mistranslation in the English dub, before Gearfried's final attack he actually shouts Gearfield, which is obviously wrong. As well as this, after Joey activates Magical Arm Shield and Weevil's life points decrease, we go back to the hospital and on the laptop we see Weevil's life points get decreased to 3,250, but then his life points suddenly become 0 for a brief second, so a crazy instant win there. The scene with Insect Queen eating Legoul is shown twice, when the second should be Insect Queen eating Cockroach Knight, as we see that monster's armor drop to the ground afterwards. Weevil says to Joey that the only cards that have enough attack points to defeat his perfectly ultimate Great Moth are Gate Guardian and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. However, at the time this episode aired, of course, Obelisk the Tormentor was in play, and that is once again, obviously another card that could defeat it. As well as this, Yugi's Dragon Master Knight is also powerful enough to defeat Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. But of course, we all know Joey isn't the smartest fish in the pond, if that's actually a phrase. He forgets to remove Parasite from his deck after this duel, as we all know. But I just had to showcase that because he's an idiot. Episode 65, we see Yugi take on Strings in his third Battle City duel. But when Gazelle King of Mythical Beast is summoned, its defense is shown to be 2100, which we all know is incorrect. When Strings draws Wormdrake, it's shown to be a level 8 monster instead of a level 4. Also, when he summons his first slime token, Revival Jam is not on his duel disc. As well as this, when Strings sets Jam Defender, Jam Breeding Machine is shown on his monster card zone instead of Revival Jam. And finally in this episode, when Strings activates Polymerization, a D-Fusion card appears instead. This was corrected, however, in the DVD release that included this episode. On to episode 66, the second episode of the Yugi Strings duel. In the previous episode, Yugi actually had the Dark Magician in his hand, as we saw this. However, it does not appear in his hand or is seen at all in the episode after that. Which is strange. As well as this, once Sly for the Sky Dragon is introduced into the show, in the part where its attack increases to 5000, Strings is actually shown holding 6 cards in his hand, which is obviously wrong. And another quite funny one here. For most of the duel, actually, Sly for the Sky Dragon's card on his duel disc is actually another card already in play, so it's not really shown that often, which is quite crazy. Episode 67, this is the final episode of the Yugi Strings duel. Nothing really happens here, but it's just I just found this stat that I thought was quite cool, so I'll read this out to you. If Strings was actually using the minimum deck size of 40 cards, Slifer's maximum attack would have been 28,000 before Strings decked out. So Strings of course had 5 cards on his field and 7 in his graveyard that he'd already played, leaving the rest of the deck in his hand. The manga did the math correctly though, by replacing Pot of Greed with the card Light Force Sword had banished. Moving on to episode 68, so this is the episode where Kaiba and Yugi team up against Rare Hunter. Their names technically are Rare Hunter 2 and 3, which we obviously know as Luminous Umbra. This episode also showcases the duel between Joey and Mako Tsunami. Kaiba is shown to have cards in his hand in various shots after playing all of his cards. Yugi is shown to have 1 extra card in his hand throughout the duel, as if he had played Pot of Greed as well. In several shots, instead of the Lord of D on Kaiba's duel disc, we saw Pot of Greed instead. Moving on to Mako and Joey then. So when Mako sets his Torrential Tribute trap card, he mistakenly said he places a monster face down. Also, when Mako attacks after using Torrential Tribute, the card shown on his duel disc is not Flying Fish, it's Torrential Tribute. Silly. Also, when Alligator's sword was first summoned, the bottom part of its mouth was incorrectly coloured green. Moving on to episode 69 then, so this is the final episode of the Mako and Joey duel. You know, nothing really happens here apart from this really cringy kind of weird moment. So I thought I'd showcase that just to finish this video off. But in the Japanese version, Joey thinks of a red ocean. Then Yami Yugi appears. This weird scene is obviously replaced in the dub with previous images of the duel showing Tornado Wool raising water sprouts, which is crazy. But thanks for watching. This was my video, Things You Missed in Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle City Arc Part 2. I hope you enjoyed the video. And of course, if you want to see more of these Things You Missed videos, Yu-Gi-Oh! Character deck duels, profiles, fact videos and more, hit the subscribe button right now. Also, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash the like button, share this video with a friend, or leave me a comment in the section below. Let your voices be heard on the anger of why they covered up the Dark Magician Girl so bad for us. Petition for hashtag more Dark Magician Girl thigh, right? But anyway, that's it from me. I will see you in the next video. Take care.